cracked it. How to solve big problems and sell solutions like Top Strategy. Bernard Garrett, Palgrave Macmillan, 2019. Many useful tips too. Get to know the mechanics of problem solving and improve your skills in creating a big business plan, or even to get through an interview. Learn the best ways to solve problems following the 4S method. Learn the most common pitfalls of logical thinking in problem solving. The author. Bernard Garrett received his doctorate from the HEC, the School of Business Studies, in Paris in 1991, and served as vice principal of the MBA program from 2011 to 2016. He worked as a professor at IESE, the Spanish Institute of Higher Business Studies, from 2016 to 2017, London Business School 1997 to 1999, and the University of Cambridge. He was awarded the prestigious Pierre Vernemem Prize for Teaching. He has written several articles for academic journals and books such as Cooperative Strategy, which he co-wrote with Pierre Dusage. Olivier Sibony is a writer, professor and a consultant who specializes in strategic decisions. He has worked as a consultant, partner and director in the McKinsey & Company offices in Paris and New York. He also teaches business and entrepreneurial strategy in the MBA program and leads the problem-solving and communication workshop for MBA participants. Corey Phelps is an associate professor of strategy at McGill University's De Sauterelles Faculty of Management. Before joining McGill, Phelps was on the faculty of HEC in Paris and later completed his doctorate at New York University's Stern School of Business. His great skills as a professor have won him several awards. The Pierre Vernemem BNP Paribas Award in 2012 for Best Teacher at HEC and an award for Best MBA Professor of the Year at UW, the University of Washington. What are the two most commonly used thinking methods? There are two main systems of thinking commonly used by people. System 1, or fast thinking, which involves focusing on the immediate information available and skipping to the conclusion without doing any further research, and System 2, or slow thinking, which requires greater attention and research but can lead to analytical paralysis. System 2 is only activated when fast thinking doesn't work. Research shows that experience is necessary but not critical when it comes to problem solving. In fact, experts are often guided by the illusion of understanding the problem, making inaccurate analogies in their area of competence and consequently formulating erroneous solutions. To improve your ability to solve problems, you need a systematic problem-solving method, which does not lead to the hasty solutions that come from System 1 or the paralysis that often accompanies System 2. Problem-solving's most common pitfalls. Flawed problem definition. For example, when the MP3 format began to spread, the music industry tried to fight against the problem, calling it piracy and making any solution impossible. Solution confirmation. The two CEOs of the Grameen and Danone joint venture proposed a particular type of yogurt to solve the problem of infant malnutrition in Bangladesh. In spite of the various defects that the solution had, such as the difficulty of distribution of yogurt in a hot climate with no adequate infrastructure, they continued with the proposal and nobody contested it. The two CEOs were completely blind to the defects that their problem entailed. Wrong framework. Reference concepts tell us what we need to pay attention to, but also what we can ignore, so the choice of concept can in fact blind us to important aspects of the problem. Narrow framing. When dealing with a complex problem of which our comprehension barely scratches the surface, we can often fall into the incorrect use of reasoning by analogy in order to quickly identify a solution without investing resources to better understand it. For example, Ron Johnson failed with JCPenney because he followed the same reasoning used in the past for the Apple Store, without investing more resources to better understand the needs of JCPenney's customers. Miscommunication. Bad communication of a good solution leads to inactivity. While the contrary is also true, great communication of a bad idea can also do serious damage. In 1950, the researcher John Yudkin discovered that sugar was the main cause of obesity, but his research was ignored for years because of bad communication. while the mistaken idea that fat was the main cause of obesity continued to circulate widely thanks to more effective communication. Solutions to problems. The 4S method: state, structure, solve, sell. The 4 stages of the 4S method are sequential, but in practice, you won't work through them rigidly. State. This involves the affirmation of the problem. To affirm the problem, you need to review it periodically and collaborate with others, integrating the ideas of various different people to come up with one main question that must follow the points on the TOSCA checklist. Trouble. The space between a situation and an aspiration or opportunity. The problem must be defined in a specific manner, asking the question, why now, without allowing the problem to contaminate the definition. For example, to state, our product has lost its impact on the consumer, is a mistake. The problem should instead be defined as, our product has gone down 5 places in the market since last year. Owner. This is the person that asks for the problem to be solved and who will evaluate its definition and solution. Success criteria. Defining the success criteria by asking why regularly allows us to focus on the definition of the problem, ignoring, for the moment, any possible solutions. Constraints. Time, budget, resources that limit possible solutions. Actors. These are any interested parties whose needs must be understood, such as your clients. Structure. The problem needs to be structured, and this can be done in several ways. Hypotheses pyramid. You begin by choosing one solution to the main problem, trying to either confirm it or deny it, and splitting it into hypotheses, meaning the necessary conditions for the hypothesis to be true. For example, the company Libranova wants to expand into Canada, so their main question could be, what strategy should we use? The solution to verify in this case would be partnership with DeMarquis, a Canadian company. The necessary conditions for Libranova's hypothesis to be confirmed would be that Canada is a desirable market. That partnership is the best way to expand into a new market. That DeMarquis is a good partner. At each level of the pyramid, all the conditions need to be MECE, mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive, meaning that they must be mutually exclusive and jointly comprehensive. Together, they must be sufficient to confirm the hypotheses. This type of problem structuring is efficient and benefits from the consultant's experience, but it is susceptible to all the traps listed above and to logical challenges, such as the possible confusion between necessary and sufficient conditions. Issue tree. It begins by splitting the main questions into other questions and not into statements or hypotheses, as in the pyramid. All questions at each level must be MECE, and it is good to follow the 80-20 rule, i.e. 20% of the questions must provide 80% of the ideas. In this way, we can eliminate the questions that could lead to dead ends, so that we can lighten our tree. For example, with the Libranova case, the main question of the company, expand abroad by collaborating with DeMarquis, can be divided into subsections with the following questions. Do we want to join with DeMarquis? Are there any better options? Should we delay expansion abroad? Templates. Each sector has their own templates for structuring problems, so we should always be aware of the assumptions built into any template, so that we can avoid falling into the traps. The skill lies in being able to identify the suitable template or set of templates suited to finding a solution to the problem. It would be good to use the logical tree structure to solve problems and only move on to the hypothesis pyramid when you have confidence in your own experience and hypotheses. Solve. Solve the problem by running analyses using prototypes and testing solutions. There are 8 different types of analysis. Hypotheses that can be considered as true without further analysis thanks to use of existing data. Numerical facts that are easy to find. Evaluations based on qualitative, non-numerical facts, such as tech modifications in the industry, which impact on your clients and so require interviews to assess the client's response. Hypotheses that can be solved using simple analysis. hypotheses that force us to make predictions when it is impossible to find data. Internal plans and predictions based on conjecture, for example, sales plans. Expert advice, such as legal advice. Decisions based on common sense, predicting the client's reactions. There are, however, common errors that afflict all types of analysis. The use of misleading data. For example, if you were to calculate the percentage of homicides in Great Britain, looking only at the data, you can see a 21% increase in homicides. However, if you look more carefully, you can see that an accident occurred during a football match in Hillsborough which caused the death of 96 people and was catalogued as a murder, thus making the overall percentage misleading. The time interval analysed is questionable. For example, when a company hires a new CEO at the very beginning of a global market crisis, if the company's profits are less than the previous period, this will not only be due to any erroneous decisions made by the CEO. Limited samples, the use of questionnaires sent only to satisfied or unsatisfied customers, can report unreliable data. Unrealistic predictions. Mistakes in numeric calculations. Erroneous interpretation of data and of the correlation between data. The cause-effect correlation. Sell. Sell the solution using the pyramid principle. The first thing to do is to expose the main thought, which is the suggestion, in one sentence that will provoke questions which will be answered in the subsequent points. It is a good idea to use a grouping style for the main points in support of the solution proposal, when you know that the public already expects the suggested solution and only needs some detailed reasons to implement it. When the subject is more complex and needs to be introduced gradually, it is best to use a discussion structure, in which the main points are connected to each other in a sequential and logical way. Design thinking, the method for solving the most complex and people-centered problems. Design thinking is a more creative and iterative method of solving problems. It is not linear and is divided into the following stages. Identify yourself with the customer using empathy to understand the problem through observations and interviews, or using the product as a customer. For example, Doug Dietz reinvented the MRI machine after observing children's reactions to it and studying infant behaviour. In this way, he created an experience suitable for them which facilitated the reduction of scan times and consequently the costs, since the children responded better to instructions. Define, understand and structure the problem, taking into consideration the user's needs. Summarize the needs and insights related to the customer experience, asking, "How could we?" to guide your search. Come up with lots of possible solutions. Quantity is more important than quality at this stage. Create prototypes as soon as possible by responding to the question, "What do we want to know?" Test them as soon as possible to get an idea of any possible obstacles. Quotes. These people must be as thorough as Hamlet and as action-orientated as Othello, without jumping to conclusions like the latter or being stuck in a loop of endless questioning like the former. Complex problems cannot be solved with experience alone, but must first be defined and structured. Whether you're new to solving complex business problems or an old hand, a disciplined, structured process is the key. Take-home message. To master the skill of problem-solving, experience is not enough. You must first learn to structure and define the problem, and then reach the most suitable solution through meticulous, critical thinking. The 4S method.